The fossil record is often portrayed as a grim museum of violence. Predators tearing prey apart, cataclysms flattening landscapes, and unlucky creatures buried mid-struggle. Yet some of the strangest fossil finds don't reveal epic battles at all. Instead, they capture deaths so bizarre, so humiliating, or so downright absurd that they make you pause and think, really? That's how you went out? From giant sloths drowning in their own waste to frogs who partied themselves to death, the history of life on Earth is filled with strange demises. These stories remind us that nature is not only brutal, but often weird, ironic, and occasionally hilarious. In southwest Ecuador lies Tenque Loma, a fossil site that serves as a prehistoric cautionary tale. Within its layers are the remains of dozens of giant ground sloths, Eremotherium, each weighing around 4.5 tons and stretching over 6 meters long. These were not the sleepy little tree dwellers of today. Imagine an elephant-sized creature with sloth claws, lumbering across open ground. But despite their size and strength, these animals perished in a most undignified way. During a drought, the sloths gathered at a shallow pool for food and water. Over time, their own waste began to accumulate in the water. Researchers discovered a thick layer of digested plant matter, fossilized sloth feces, around the bones. The once refreshing pool had turned into a toxic cesspit. Bacteria and parasites flourished. The water became poisonous, and the sloths that drank it succumbed to disease. The herd, by sheer accident, engineered their own downfall. It was death not by predator or catastrophe, but by poor sanitation. Prehistoric giants, undone by their own bathroom breaks. Across the ocean, in Germany's Geiseltal region, scientists discovered a mass grave of fossilized frogs, dating back around 45 million years. Hundreds of individuals lay preserved, but with no signs of disease, predation, or drought. The puzzle persisted for decades. The answer came only after observing modern frogs. In many species, mating season is a frenzied, dangerous affair. Males compete ferociously, piling onto females and sometimes pushing them underwater. The exhausted animals often drown during the process. These fossil frogs were likely terrestrial species that only entered water to breed, making them clumsy swimmers. In short, their mass grave may have been the result of overzealous reproduction. These amphibians literally loved themselves to death. It is one of the few times in prehistory where the explanation for a fossil site can be summed up in 2 words: mating season. Plants rarely make the fossil headlines as killers, but one pterosaur in Brazil begs to differ. The early Cretaceous Ludodactylus was a large, sharp-toothed flyer, perfectly adapted to snatch fish from rivers, yet the holotype fossil, the defining specimen for the species, preserves something lodged in its jaw, a yucca leaf. Yucca plants, also known as Spanish bayonets, are armed with long, stiff, needle-like leaves. This unfortunate pterosaur likely collided with the plant at high speed, impaling its jaw. The wound would have festered, preventing the animal from eating or drinking, until it slowly succumbed. It is perhaps the only known case of a flying reptile being defeated not by a predator, not by starvation, but by flying into a plant. A prehistoric reminder that sometimes the environment doesn't need claws or teeth to win. Few fossil sites capture bizarre death on a grand scale like Tanis in North Dakota. This site preserves the chaos unleashed not directly at the asteroid impact crater 66 million years ago, but thousands of kilometers away. Here, the fossil record shows creatures dying in extraordinary ways. Fish were discovered with gills clogged by molten glass beads, inhaling debris formed as the asteroid vaporized rock. A turtle was skewered by a tree, pinned forever in stone. Ant nests were filled with impact ejecta. Entire groups of dinosaurs were preserved 3-dimensionally, clumped together like sardines, smashed by colossal seiche waves triggered by earthquakes. Tanis is a testament to how widespread and surreal the destruction was. Even far from ground zero, the Earth itself turned into a weapon, delivering bizarre ends to creatures caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. If asteroids have the power of surprise, volcanoes are the slow but merciless killers of deep time. In Turkey's Cappadocia region, a prehistoric rhino relative weighing over 2 tons was found with its skull baked and teeth corroded. Researchers concluded it had been caught in a volcanic eruption, incinerated by 400 degrees Celsius lava, and finished off by a pyroclastic surge. The skull was all that remained. Across the world in Washington state, lava left behind a different legacy. There, a fossil cave was revealed to be the mold of a rhino. The animal likely died from heat and gases while wallowing in water. When lava arrived, its floating body was entombed, the water rapidly cooling the molten rock to preserve the shape. Millions of years later, erosion cut the mold open, leaving a hollow chamber in the form of an upside-down rhino. These 2 rhino deaths show volcanoes can be both destructive and strangely artistic, leaving behind fossils unlike any others. In Ethiopia's Afar Triangle, the site known as AL333 revealed one of the rarest fossil finds, the remains of at least 17 Australopithecus individuals, nicknamed the First Family. They died together about 3.2 million years ago, infants, juveniles, and adults, all preserved in one location. But why? Initial theories pointed to a flash flood, but the surrounding sediments did not fit. Another possibility is mass food poisoning, though this seems unlikely for vegetarian hominins. The most chilling theory is that predators carried out a massacre. Large cats, possibly saber-toothed species, were known for surplus killing, hunting more than they could consume. Finger and toe bones are missing from the AL333 individuals, consistent with feline feeding patterns. If true, this site records one of the earliest mass predation events in our own lineage. Yet certainty remains elusive, and the First Family mystery lingers unsolved. Finally, the ocean brings us one of the strangest fossilized accidents: fish impaled by squid remains. Fossils show Tharsis, a Jurassic fish with a belemnite rostrum, essentially the internal spear-shaped shell of a squid relative, lodged in its throat and gills. At first, paleontologists were baffled. Neither animal seemed like the aggressor, but further analysis revealed that the belemnites were already dead, their shells buoyed by gases. As they floated, they became deadly traps. The fish, known for sucking up floating objects, swallowed them by accident. The sleek rostrum slid into the throat, and the fish suffocated. Multiple fossils preserve this same fatal arrangement. The result is one of the most humiliating ways to die at sea, skewered not by a predator, but by carrion drifting in the current. The fossil record reveals not only the grandeur of life, but also its absurdities. Giant ground sloths engineered their own septic demise. Frogs succumbed to reckless reproduction. A pterosaur lost a duel with a plant. An asteroid turned the atmosphere into a weapon. Volcanoes baked rhinos alive and sculpted caves from their corpses. Early hominins may have fallen prey to saber-toothed predators, and Jurassic fish managed to suffocate on dead squid parts. These stories are both entertaining and sobering. They remind us that survival is not always about strength or speed. Sometimes chance, timing, or sheer bad luck decides everything. Yet through all of Earth's unpredictable chaos, one lineage endured: ours. Humans were not the strongest, fastest, or most imposing, but we adapted. We observed patterns, avoided hazards, and shared stories. Knowledge became our survival tool, letting us dodge the same strange fates that claimed so many others. In the end, The strangest lesson of all may be this. In a world where sloths can die of bad plumbing and pterosaurs can lose to plants, the most dangerous creature to ever evolve was not the saber-tooth or the asteroid. It was us, the storytellers who learned from death and used it to outlast everything else.